love your own enemies, don't be loving mine. My enemies are the theocratic fascists. I don't love them. I want to destroy them.
Child made in the image of God. Oh no, you're not. You're a faggot. And you can't join your church and you can't go to heaven. This is disgraceful. It's inhuman.
So today, June 14th, 2017, which just happens to be Trump's birthday, which might be part of the trigger actually, we've had three separate incidences today involving guns and shooting and violence. I believe it's only the beginning. I believe that we as a country, the citizens of the United States of America, are experiencing mental and emotional abuse at the hands of our own government. I believe that the more mentally ill among us are going to not be able to withstand the constant stress that the rest of us feel. We all feel it every day. We're watching this circus every day. We all wake up every morning and say, oh God, now what? What is this man going to do? What is this man going to say? How humiliated are we going to feel today? How fearful are we going to feel today? And how uncertain are we going to be about our future or our kids' educations or whether or not we're going to have health insurance next month? Every single day, we get to feel these things. We get to feel anxiety and fear and humiliation and shame and worry. On top of just the normal stuff that you get every day, just because life is hard, we have all this additional stuff. We have the people that we're supposed to be able to trust lying through their teeth at us and telling us that truth is lies and lies are truth every single day. And the people who actually are trying to get to the bottom of this, because we all kind of want to know what exactly is going on, those people are being fired whenever they get kind of too close to revealing any truth or uncovering any truth. They get fired. And still, the people who are doing this continue to work in their positions. They commit perjury, and they're still in their positions. They're not removed from office because they've committed perjury. They're not removed from office because they're caught in lies or they flip off another world leader like some fucking 12-year-old. They're still in their positions. We are the ones they work for. We don't work for them. They work for us. Yet we have no say. We don't get to say to them, you're not doing your job right, you're fired. We don't get to have an opinion. We don't get to have any kind of power with what happens to our government that was, as far as I remember correctly, America was made for the people. It wasn't made for the GOP. It wasn't made for Christianity. It wasn't made for rich people or powerful corporations. It was made for the people. And every single person in those positions represent the people. And yet, do the people have any say? Do we get to vote on what health care we get? Do we get to vote on whether or not we continue to fight to try to protect our planet or slow global warming? Do we get to have a vote on whether our air gets to stay clean and our water gets to stay clean? Do we get to have any say at all about what happens? No. We put these people there, at least some of us did. I don't really think that the people put Trump there at all. Or Pence, which is kind of a package deal with Trump. I believe the only reason they're there is because the powers that be wanted them there, and Russia. And I'm sorry, but lying to the American people, that should be a really bad thing and should not be something our leaders should be able to do. I think that the weaker of us in our society who are also feeling the same stress that we feel and are basically also experiencing mental and emotional abuse just like we are going to crack. I think it's begun, and I think it's going to continue to get worse. We have no way to communicate with our own government. We have no way, as the people, these officials work for us. They work for us, and we have no way to control them or have a say in what they do. Try to contact Paul Ryan. Just try to call Paul Ryan. You'll get his voicemail box, and you'll get a little voice telling you that his mailbox is full. Or you might, if you're lucky, which is really, this is very, very rare, but you might get a day where his mailbox isn't full. I hope you can talk really fast because he gives you about 15 seconds to leave a message. Or you could try to call the White House comment line. That's another one where it's almost always closed and you don't get through. And if you want to write anybody at the White House, you have several choices. Trump, Trump, and Trump. When Obama was president, you could write to Obama, you could write to Michelle Obama, or you could write to Vice President Biden. You could write to any of those. But if you try to write to anybody, it's Trump. You don't get to write to the First Lady, and I cringe to use that word with her, lady. You don't get to write to her. You don't get to write to Pence, because it's just not an option. You can only communicate with the one who can't read very well and probably doesn't read and certainly doesn't give a rat's ass what you think. That's the only one you can communicate with. And if you want to write to the senators who are the problem children, or the Congress people who are the problem children, in other words, the senators and Congress people in the red states, you can't unless you live in those red states. You can't communicate with them unless you live in the red states. They don't want to know what you have to say. Which basically is the majority of the people, because the people in the red states, there's not that many of them. The majority of the people live in the blue states, and we can't communicate with the representatives from the red states because they don't want to know what we have to say. So we really don't have any way to communicate with the people that are causing the problems for our country. The ones that think they have the right to go behind closed doors and make up the replacement of the Affordable Care Act without telling anybody what it's actually going to say, what it is. Oh, we have a replacement. It's all very hush-hush. Nobody gets to read it. And covering up the actions of the president. I'm sorry, that makes you an accomplice. If he is a traitor, you're an accomplice to treason. Yeah. Obstructing justice. If he's obstructing justice, you're an accomplice to that too. So I just think, this is my prediction, I think that what we saw today is just the start. I think the strain is too much for some people. Most of us can kind of just put it aside and try to pretend that everything is normal, nice and normal, and go through our little mundane lives every day, go to work, focus on our families, focus on our pets, focus on whatever little duties, jobs we have to do around the house, and just try to pretend that this horror story isn't happening outside of our little bubbles that we live in. Most of us can do that, but the mentally ill have a harder time not reacting to abuse and fear and anxiety and uncertainty and all these things that our current government is making us feel all the time, or just humiliated. Oh my God, look at the way the rest of the world looks at America now. It's humiliating. It's embarrassing. It's mortifying. And the mentally ill people who have to feel all these things, some of them are going to snap under the strain. Some of them are going to fall to pieces and strike out at what they perceive is the toxin, the poison hurting this country. In other words, the GOP. They're going to strike back at what is hurting them. Just like any animal will do if it's being abused, and eventually bites the abuser. I wrote this a couple days ago before all this happened. And I wish I could add to it now, because I would add what happened today. Because of you, certain people have been shot and have been maybe died. I don't know, I haven't read about all 3 of them. But because of you, now we have this happening. I wrote this on Trump's Facebook page, and I shared it, and after I shared it, 55 more people shared it, which I'm extremely proud of that fact, that people would share something I wrote. But this is what I wrote. What have you done in your short time as an illegitimate president? You have tried repeatedly to take away, to decrease and lessen, not improve. You weaken and diminish. You make us seem foolish and weak and laughable to the entire world. Because of you, now we seem quaint and backward and out of touch with reality. Because of you, our already failing education we offer our kids is looking to lose even more. Because of you, our water and air quality is suddenly no big deal, and our health is no big deal, and our ability to earn a living wage with just 1 paycheck from 1 job instead of 3 is no big deal. Because of you, now people live in terror of losing their privacy online, or even their right to control their bodies, or get to marry the one they love. Because of you, brown kids are getting angry and resentful again, and are starting to understand why their grandparents mistrust white people. Because of you, some are afraid to laugh at the wrong time, or say the wrong thing, or even tell the truth. Because of you, many of us look again at the horizon at night and imagine mushroom clouds, and wonder how many breaths we'll get to take before the blast hits us. You have obliterated our reputation, our pride, and our hopes for the future. Because of you, America is weaker now than I have ever seen it in my 54 years on this earth. I've had lots of people write me and comment on this post. I will share some of them. A lot of them are just, hey, good job, thank you, that was really well written. I'll spare you those. Somebody named Diane wrote, I'm older than you, kiddo, and you are so right. Somebody wrote, I'm just going down. Somebody wrote, named Holly wrote, frighteningly accurate. Somebody named, go down a little bit more. Like I said, I don't want to read stuff that isn't very well written. Said that Donnie can't read and no one would be brave enough to read it to him. Natalie wrote, very well said, that needs to go on a t-shirt and a mug and on a big honking billboard signs throughout the country. There should be one more sentence added to the very end that should read, because of you, we people will resist until your ass and all your cronies are behind bars. Rita writes, 73 here, and never have I seen a clown of this magnitude. Becky writes, you got this right. What has our weekend America come to? Americans killing Americans. Somebody wrote, or in my 74 years. Carol writes, you so aptly spoke all the same feelings that are consuming my life since this monster has become president. I'm ashamed, scared, and in a constant state of turmoil. I'm 74. I don't want this to be my life for however long I have left on this earth. Please let this end. Virginia writes, he doesn't give a shit how you are or anyone else thinks of him, as long as he throws his followers a crumb or two and some lies on the side, he's good. Pat writes, "Oh my God, how right you are. I have never witnessed anything like this in all my 67 years. I am retiring in October, and frankly, I'm scared to death about the future." Mary writes, "Thank you for this. I just turned 54, and I can't believe what I am seeing. What you express is exactly what I am feeling." Someone writes, "You think he could read that? There are no pictures." Jody writes, "Good, but it should go to the whole GOP." Adrian writes, "Very well written and also so sad. I feel like we are going backwards in time, and the only ones that will suffer are our children." And then Patty writes, "Die fat, and this is so true. Thank you. I'm 73, almost 74, and I have never seen our country so polarized. Even during the Vietnam War, protesters versus conservatives never brought this much hatred." David writes, "In my 65 years and prior thereto, he is clearly the worst president ever." And Elizabeth writes in capital letters, "The worst." And Nina writes, "Yes, and because of you, Trump, I worry about the future of my grandchildren, which I was free of during Obama's presidency." Jerry writes, "As long as Republicans rule Congress and Trump stays in the White House, your grandchildren and mine have no future. We must vote Republicans out in 2018. My response to that is there will be no country by 2018. I really don't think so. CJ writes, "Wow, all I can say is wow. What you wrote here is so true and correct and to the point. This is nothing short of brilliance. Thank you for posting this. You have touched on everything we all have been thinking." I wasn't really sure how to end this video, so I thought I would read one other comment I posted under Trump's Facebook page as a way to end this. 3 shootings in one day. It begins. People are starting to crack under the strain. America is being asked to endure mental and emotional abuse right now, and I am sorry there are consequences to abuse. Not saying it is right, it just is. Every day you are threatening us, our sense of well-being, of knowing we can afford to get medical help if we need it, or that our kids can get decent educations. Every day you threaten our freedoms and even our lives with how recklessly you mock leaders of hostile countries. Today's violence is the result. We are human beings, and those of us suffering from mental illness are starting to crack under the strain. I totally blame you. You think you and your corrupt team of liars can do anything you want to millions of people just trying to survive and not see a reaction to your actions? Well, you are wrong. This sickens me because innocent people are suffering, and you ignore it and blame everything else except yourself.
I am absolutely convinced that the main source of hatred in the world is religion. And I think it should be religion treated with ridicule and hatred and contempt.
Let's get together. Homeless